Quit playing with me, y'all making me schizophrenic. Did you hear me then? So I don't know how you can let me know in the event that my volume goes weird. I think there's a problem with the mic in my computer, and I don't have an alternate to offset that. So
Zina,
we'll
you're good enough. I turned my volume up and you're good enough. Just go for it.
Okay, thank
Awesome.
you so
Yeah.
much, Ali. So again, my name is Zina and I'm an alcoholic. My topic tonight is renew, and it is from page 103 in the 12 and 12, from the sentence, as the day goes on, we can pause where situations must be met and decisions made, and renew the simple request, thy will be done. That's my topic tonight. That's my topic. Renew. Thy will be done. Renew. Don't forget. Renew. Thy will be done. And hopefully my share will it will explain why that is such an amazing topic for me to talk about right now. So my name is Zina and I'm an alcoholic. Um, mm, I drank a lot and I couldn't stop when I wanted to. And when I did, I couldn't stay. And that's why. Okay. I hope that worked for everybody in the room, because we got too much business to handle to be worried about what I did when I was drunk. So today I have 33 years and quite a few. I will be 34 on September 2nd. Wait a minute. I'm in a home stretch. And it's always God's will that I stay. So if I don't get in God's way, on September 2nd this year, I'll be celebrating 34 years of recovery from drugs and alcohol. And man, has it been a whirlwind. Teresa, I share on the topic for 40 minutes. Is that right? So once you get to the place where you have established a conscious contact with a God of your understanding, and you have nurtured that relationship, it is active, it is functional, and it is working. At some point, being the addict that I am, I forget that God is God and I am not. So I'll get into the because things are going well now, because God is in charge, and I've been consulting him along the way, and so life gets better. But because God is not as visible as me when I'm not using the proper sight of the right eye, I will assume that I am looking at me and not God. And in that activity, what begins to happen in my oh so great life that is going so well, that is impacting so many, and I will accidentally slide my little self back into the God suit. And so it is imperative that I renew my active nurturing activity of accessing God with the statement, thy will, not mine. Some of the ways that can show up are, I'll go to the practical for the alcoholic. I am responsible to sponsor people that I don't necessarily like. See, I know y'all wasn't expecting that. God didn't ask us to like his people. He said, serve, period. And so when my personality gets in the way of my service, I must renew that simple request, thy will, not mine. Because I am not in here trying to build friendships. I did not come to that detox center all those years ago because I didn't have no friends. That was not my problem. Friendship was not my issue. I didn't need friends. I wasn't looking for friends. And the friends that called themselves friends, I didn't like them anyway. But I hung with them too. And so when I come into these rooms and you tell me, uh, fit myself to be of maximum service to God and his people, nowhere in there does it say, make sure you make a lot of friends. It says, make sure. I heard you guys talking about dogs. I have 3 dogs and a cat. So, they come in randomly. And a granddaughter who's limping. I don't know why yet, but I'll find out later. You know why? Because thy will be done and not mine. No matter why my granddaughter is limping, there's nothing I can do in the next 40 and 40 minutes that's going to change the limp, because she was limping when I got home today. So me thinking that I need to stop the call, get off this call, go away from the thing God asked me to do, which is suit up and show up, and go tend to a situation that I can do nothing about. And how many times in the course of a day do we do that? In a different book, God says he prepares a table in the presence of my enemies. And what I understand that to mean is, at the table I'm sitting at, my blessings will show up to me. And oftentimes I miss my blessings because I get up from a table that I'm not pleased with the company. Never mind, I'm hungry and there's food there and I can't get food where I think I'm headed. Never mind that I'm getting my needs met while I sit at this table. I come to the conclusion that the personalities at the table are not worth the uncomfortabilities I have to experience in order to remain seated long enough to get my own sustenance and my own fluids met. So I use a lot of metaphors. By the time we get to this place, I just want to take a moment. I don't know. Can one, Eileen, Teresa, or somebody give me an idea how many newcomers attend this meeting?
20%.
20%? So for anyone that's new, please don't dismay if you don't understand the things that I say or the metaphors that I use. Because when my days go on and I'm learning to pause when situations must be met and decisions made, and I'm practicing my newfound ability to renew my request that God's will be done, that means I will sit still even when I don't understand. And so for anyone who's new, even if you don't understand, sit still. What I've learned is that my spirit man will be informed if I'm willing to stand still in the midst of an experience. Because it is experience that teaches me against my arrogance. My arrogance tells me that I already know, and what you're trying to teach me is not worth knowing. Because what I know is what has worked for me and kept me alive for the years up to the moment that I discovered my own ignorance. And so sitting still will work against that arrogance and make sure that I have a practical living, walking experience of my own, so that the big book comes alive, so that the steps come alive, so that the conversations of my sponsor, my sober tribe, and the speakers at various meetings that I attend can begin to make sense. And you can think of it in the same context as learning a new language. I took a Spanish class some years back. I don't speak Spanish because I'm undisciplined, but I did take a class some years back. And as a matter of fact, I've taken that class 3 times. I have yet to finish it, but that's a different story. That's not why I bring it up. I bring it up because the first thing they began is to teach us numbers. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. I ain't going no higher. I think I made it to six. And so I say that because I had to stay in the class in order to learn how to multiply those numbers, to make those numbers bigger, how to, I think there's a number, siete seis, which I think is 66. I had to stay long enough to learn how to put that together. Here in recovery, we start with 1, 2, 3 through 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And as you live, you learn how to put that to practical application. But that practical application understanding does not come until you have lived what you have already learned, which means that you must first learn it. And so for anyone who's new that may not understand, because I can get complicated sometimes, I've learned that about myself. Stay and just listen. When it's time to know it, your subconscious will inform your conscious, because that is how God works. That is the 11th step in a nutshell too. The whole thing is when I sit in silent contemplation of the God experience, however I name it, whether I name it yoga, meditation, whether I name it dance, song, whether I name it singing, whether I name it speaking to my mirror self, but in whatever form you name it for you, that quiet time alone where you are establishing and nurturing the relationship with God. In that time, you are being taught a language that you will later be taught how to speak. Right now, you're just learning how to pronounce. I hope that makes sense. Woo, 40 minutes is a long time, because what is that, 5? So I came into the rooms because the only thing I can do in a meeting of recovery is talk about the experience that I had. I came into the rooms and I came from the place of Christian belief and Muslim belief. My grandmother was a Christian minister and my father was a Muslim minister. My mother was a workaholic, which was her religion. And my stepfather was a gambler, which was his religion. So these are the 4 practices I got to inform religious beliefs from. I didn't experience trauma and abuse in the sense that we often hear about it in the rooms. I came from an environment where I believe I was loved way too much. Because for an alcoholic like me, no matter how much, it will never be enough. And so I could never be loved enough. My mother gave me everything I asked for. My father gave me every experience I could think of. My stepfather gave me every accolade he could imagine. My grandmother lifted me up because I was the first I was the first child, I was the first. And so there was a lot of praise and pomp and circumstance that went on around me. And do you know, I grew up feeling unloved. Now, if you'd have asked me, that's the very first thing I would have said, that I felt unloved. And so that's the first indicator that my feelings do not necessarily reflect the truth about my experience. But I will walk the earth on the information of the experience as I understand it, whether it's true or not. And I will grasp hold to a trauma story that never existed. And so I share that in case some of you have the opportunity to walk back in time and look at the truth about your beginnings. But that's where I came from. And my grandmother's God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit made a lot of it worked. It worked for me, but it didn't make a lot of sense. I could feel it in my body when they would talk about the Holy Spirit and they would talk about the presence of God. I would feel things in my body that I couldn't explain as a kid, but none of it made sense, especially when I was a kid. And my father's Islam made sense, but I couldn't feel it. It was logically, I could understand why. I didn't agree with everything, but I could understand why they just took the actions that they took and why they did the rituals that they did. It made sense, but I couldn't feel it. And so being in trouble with drugs and alcohol much later in my life, and not knowing which way to turn, naturally I turned to the thing I could feel, because I was groomed to believe that my feelings were actual facts. And so I leaned more to what I could feel than to what I can understand. And so when I found myself in trouble on the streets of LA, not being able to stop the life that I didn't even want to live anymore, I called out to the God of my grandmother. And I said, Father God, if you can hear me, please help me. I don't know what's happened to my life. Shortly after, without any prompting from me, one of my family members was promoted to a position where it was her job to refer alcoholics like me into recovery. And she didn't know what I was experiencing. Those two realities that I could understand the context of made me feel like I prayed a prayer, God heard it, and this family member was the answer. So that's my first, as far as the rooms are concerned, that was my first experience in actually praying for God to do something and seeing him do it in a short time. So unfortunately for me and my alcoholic mind, I thought, that's how it's going to be working from now on. I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna need something. I'm gonna be like, yo, God, can you make this happen for me? And God gonna be like, sure, let me send you a stranger, a friend, or a family member, and all will be well. Oh yeah, that's what's gonna happen. And so naturally, when that was not my new future, I again questioned this God concept. And I wanted to go to the logical God, but something in me knew that I needed to have an experience that was just mine. Because I was trying to engage God based on my concept from my grandmother, my father, my mother, and my stepfather. And in working the steps with a sponsor and having my own experience and standing in the truth that was real for me and being painfully honest, rigorously honest about the things I thought life would give me and what I actually lived in life and how those were all started by me, I was introduced to a novel concept, and that is to create the characteristics of a God that I believed would work for me. Now, I thought it was ludicrous and that it would not work, but I tried many things for drugs and alcohol, not believing they would work, but hoping against hope that they would. And so why the hell not? Would I just not try? And so I began to try to establish a relationship with a God that I didn't understand under a basis that was very, very new, foundationally introduced to me from the 12 steps of recovery. Over the years, and I told y'all I will be 34 in September if I don't die, because it is not my intention nor God's intention for me to drink. Over the years, 34 of them, I have tried things that worked and tried things that did not work. What I did consistently was renew. I continually renewed the simple request. The steps asked me to be willing to say one small thing whenever I was in trouble. Thy will, not mine, be done. I wasn't always sure that that would work. Over 34 years today, I understand that it will work, and it works in its simplicity. I have developed my own language that works with me and how I walk the earth, which says that I can bend and shape that sentence at will, as long as it has the same concept. God, do it, because I can't. On the street, that's how it would sound to my ears. You do it, I can't. Please help. I don't know what to do. What I understand today is God asked me to put my selfish nature in his hands, and he will show me outcomes that are far exceeding what I could even imagine it would be. And he doesn't say, believe it on face value. He says, try it and watch what happens. And so all of us that want God to prove himself first, I don't mean to laugh in your face, but I don't know what else to do. Because he's not going to prove himself first. He says, try me and see. Try it and see. And so what that says to me, when I get up in the morning and I say, God, guide and direct my path today, and I get out of the bed and I stub my foot, stubbing my foot is not the indicator that I need not say the prayer again. When I finish screaming, cussing, hopping around on one foot, I need to get back to renew my simple request. Okay, I got out of bed and I stepped wrong, Father. So now from here, can you please guide and direct my path the rest of the day? So when I get out of the shower and I'm dressed and I get in the car and I go to pull out my driveway and I see, I don't know, a cat, a dog, a kid, a car, whatever, zoom past me that I wasn't expecting, and I gotta hit my brakes hard and it's jolting, and I start cussing like I do, because I ain't but mere human. That's a great place, once I'm done, before I drive off, to renew my simple request. God, please, from here, guide and direct my path. What this sentence tells me is that I say what I need to say to connect with God as early as I can after I wake up in the morning. And then all day, I need to keep doing that over and over and over again. Because to do it in the morning and then set out on your day as if God has given you the power to do it yourself all day without renewing the simple request is foolish. Ooh, and it made me hot just thinking about it, because I know how often I try it. I try it and it doesn't work. And you know, because I'm arrogant and I'm alcoholic and my thoughts and ideas are formed by my own personal experience, like I'm the only human on earth and every other human was born to earth to serve me. And when they don't, oh my God, why are you doing this to me? As opposed to why are they having the experience that they're having? Because that's my habitual nature, I will forget that I need to renew my prayer practice all day long. I can't establish a thing at the top and then consider it complete before the day is done. Because when I do that, that means I establish it at the top and then I stand up and walk away from it as if I don't need it anymore until I get back to that space in the evening. And that is simply not the truth. I find that when I nurture that relationship all day, for it's the same way you would nurture an intimate interest. You don't meet someone, identify that you have an intimate interest in them, and then never call them again, expecting them to meet you at some proverbial altar for a solidification of committed vows without ever renewing conversation. When you meet someone new that you are intimately drawn to, you call them often. You have many conversations. You spend much time together. When trouble arises, you come to the table and you have conversations about it. You get a clearer understanding of what the expectation was and why you felt let down so that it doesn't continue to happen again. And then you guys continue to move on and go on. You don't address in the morning and then that's it until the next day. And it's the same with God. I am desiring and attempting to initiate a relationship with an entity that he already knows me. I desire to know him, at least to know him well enough to trust him when I'm in trouble, that he will be my first call. And the way that is established is I don't wait for trouble to make the call. I establish our relationship rituals and practices when trouble is nowhere to be seen. If I do that well, when trouble shows up, that is my automatic new habitual action. Call God. I start that by renewing the simple request, thy will, not mine. And I'm asking God to help me set aside my selfish nature and remind me that his way is well more informed than my way, that he can see farther than I can see, that he knows more than I know. And if I put my trust in him as opposed to my selfish nature, the outcomes are more probable to be favorable, even when I don't like them. I have added to my God conversation, especially when things occur that I do not like. You know what, God? I still believe your report over me, and I trust your decisions about my life. That is the thing I say when he makes decisions that I don't agree with. Like, last August, I found my brother deceased, my baby, he was like my first child. I did not like that decision, but I was clear that God was not surprised. I am clear that God was not caught off guard by this sudden revelation that this new normal that I would be living from. And because I believe God's report over my life and I trust his decisions with me, when I was angry, just like I would an intimate partner or a friend, I was able to turn to God and said, why have you done this? I don't like this decision. And it may have been my imagination because I was delirious and angry. I don't care. I choose to say that it was his voice. He said, I know, and it's okay, because he and I are now friends. I was not addressing a stranger that didn't know my personality. I was a I was addressing a friend and sharing a feeling so that I can process it out my body. I was able to continue that conversation all day. And when I couldn't think of anything else to say, I said, you know what, God, I, I believe your report over my life and I trust your decisions, your will, not mine. I had to renew that conversation all day long because my emotional nature, me being nothing more than human, my emotional response to act, the realities of that day will always rise above and show up beyond my heart's desire to remain connected. And the way I reestablish connection is by renewing the simple request often. I don't say it in the morning and leave it to chance the rest of the day. I say it all day long, especially in today's climate with so much going on. There is so much happening in the world, on the globe. There's so much angst and irritation, so much frustration and powerless, so much, where people just, it's not that they don't care, it's that they're absolutely powerless to make a difference. And when I was powerless to make a difference, I became destructive. And it feels like the world is experiencing a great deal of powerlessness right now. I can't change the world in the sense of the worldly world. However, I can throughout the day ask in a renewing fashion, God, help my heart accept your will be done, not mine. I trust your report over my life and I accept your decisions, even when I don't agree. Help redirect my attention to where I can be helpful so that I can stop focusing on the distractions that will just keep me. Thank you so much, whoever. I was just thinking, how they gonna tell me? That was a great way to tell me. I like it. Thanks for the 5-minute notification. Thank you, Ali. And so, I attended a conference this past weekend, a women's spiritual retreat, and I facilitated a workshop on healing the mother wound, because a lot of us are wounded for various reasons. And then I went on to attend the rest of the workshops of the weekend and the closing ceremony of the event. And I had an extremely powerful overall experience that was made up of a lot of little experiences over and over and over. And so by the time I got home on Monday evening, I felt like God didn't say to me that Thursday morning when the retreat started, he didn't say one time, choose you this day, be you renewed in your mind, heart, and spirit. He said it all day, every day for the next 4 days. And he made sure that I understood it. And by the time I got home, I had to take a breath. And the way God supported me in taking a breath is I didn't have a voice from Monday to Thursday because I had screamed and talked so much. But today I am brand new. And this is the first time I've been this new since I've been sober. I've had renewed experiences along the way, but I am brand new today from the experience I had then. And I spent all last week, I didn't work. I'm an entrepreneur and I did not work You know, entrepreneurs, when they don't work, they don't make no money. You need a great deal of faith to, to not work when you're an entrepreneur. But I sat still, um, and I was in a constant conversation of, please God, inform me how to step out from here, how to step out from here. And so Mondays are off days in my business. Tuesdays are the first day of my work week, and it's a short work week. But I showed up to Tuesday ready to get back to the work that I left before I went to the retreat, because it's been a week and a weekend that I've worked. And I woke up to not one, but two notifications of speaking commitments that I had no recollection of, was not in my calendar, did not remember. It was not part of my reality. And I wanted to say no on both sides, but I renewed my simple request. And I said, okay, God, your will be done, not mine. So God rearranged my day today and apparently my day on Thursday, because I got to drive out somewhere and speak somewhere else. But I started this day with a very different plan of what it would look like, because it's my first return to the new me that I just met over the weekend of that weekend before at the retreat. And what God did at the first day of me being the new me in the new world, stepping outside, is, okay, this is what I need you to do. Boom, boom, boom. I'm like, oh, my stuff don't matter. Okay. Okay. Oh, this whole new me that I just met, she gonna do all the work for you? Are you paying bills, right? He was like, yeah, my will be done, not yours. Oh, okay. And with joy and excitement and laughter and a trust that God will suit up and show up in the moment that I need to be present so that I can be present to my fullest. God has done that, and I am here. For anyone who's new or anyone who's old, renew often, not just daily, throughout the day. Renew the simple request that God reminds you his will be done, not yours. When that is hard to fathom, ask God to soften your heart so that you want to. Because sometimes I just don't want to. And that has to be the prayer that I share with my friend, God. And so I hope I've shared something that you guys can relate to. And I hope I've been a benefit in my share. And thank you so much, Ali, for making sure that I made it here tonight. Thank you guys for letting me share.